All right, we are on, and Sportsmanlike Conduct is back for our Week 3 NFL picks. We're going to let Robbie go first, coming off a 4-1 Week 2.
Doesn't really matter. I get to go first if the best record goes first.
I guess so.
Well, what's the tiebreaker? Because I went 4-1 too, buddy.
Well, I was here last week and you weren't, so
that's the tiebreaker. We got it.
All right, let's jump into it. First game I'm taking. Philly's giving up 3 points against the Jags. They're scoring a lot of points this year. Jags don't really impress me too much on offense or defense. They're solid. I don't think they can hang with Philly the entire game. I think Vic is going to be keep the pace that he's going with, and I think he's going to be all right. I mean, they're playing on the road, which kind of makes me kind of skeptical. But I think Philadelphia wins by at least a touchdown in that game. I don't think the Jags can hold with them.
What do you think of?
And Jackson's about to roll. Michael Vick.
He's a lot to handle.
Michael Vick. He's Michael Vick.
I think he might be better than he ever was because I don't think he takes anything for granted anymore.
Well, that, and I think he's not looking to immediately run when he hikes the ball. He's looking to pass the ball first, and then uses his legs as as a last resort type. Which is different than he was before.
Yeah, and that was definitely evident in his first game. I mean, we all agreed after watching the first game. I mean, He comes into the game in the third quarter and he's right there on the goal line. And instead of rushing, if he did take off, he would have had a touchdown. He tries to force a pass in there. I think he's become more of a passer, and I love that about Michael Vick. I mean, he's got the scramblability still. I mean, he's still fast. I mean, he hasn't lost
scramblability.
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 It's a new word. I just made it up. Come on now.
I think that he's the most exciting player to watch in the entire league.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Merrill Hodge using scramblability at some point.
I would hope so.
Down a game.
Patent pending, guys.
I think he says alley. Second game I'm taking, San Francisco, again, giving up 3 against Kansas City. Kansas City does have a good running game. I think the San Francisco defense is too good for them. They're not going to go 0-3. They should have beat the Saints. They could have beat the Saints. They shot themselves on the foot on offense. Give credit to the Saints. They did make some plays and make some big interceptions when San Francisco was down and threatening to score. So I will give the Saints credit on that. But Kansas City, their defense is decent, but Matt Castle hasn't shown me anything. I thought he would against last week against the Browns. Didn't really show me anything against the Browns. I don't expect it to pick up against the 49ers. Saw the 49ers winning that game pretty easily, even though it's in Kansas City.
Matt Castle's how many weeks away from complete bust? Let's get a new QB in here. How many weeks away is he from that? 1, 2?
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting close, man. It's getting real close.
It's not good.
I don't think it's that close. They're 2-0.
He's like 10 of 24 and passing in both games for like 70 yards.
I mean,
it's really bad.
He has not produced. He has not run that offense. I mean,
their defense was scoring more than their offense was last game. I mean, they had a 60-something yard interception return.
Yeah.
So
I mean, minus the fact that they were playing the Browns last week, who probably are better than the Bills, but they're right down there as far as bottom dwellers go. They just look awful.
Yeah.
But it's their special teams and their defense has kept them in both ball games. Matt Castle has not moved the ball in either ball game. I mean, Jamal Charles is...
The running game is decent.
Yeah, Jamal Charles
but the San Francisco defense is really good. And Pierre Thomas did nothing against... Pierre Thomas didn't do rushing against the 49ers.
Oh, no.
I mean, rushing yards are going to be hard to come by. No, run the ball. No. And they tried to. There was
49ers should have won that game. They gave the Saints 4 turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. But the rushing yards are going to be premium
50 total yards rushing in that game.
Yeah, and that's just San Francisco defense. Third game I'm taking Cleveland and Baltimore. Baltimore's giving up 10.5. Taking Baltimore. Cleveland's going to be without Jake Delhomme again. Seneca Wallace is going to be their quarterback. Whoopee. Baltimore, I think finally, I know they haven't scored a lot of points. I think finally they start putting some points up on the board because they haven't scored. Flacco hasn't looked that great. The running game is going to be good, I think, against Cleveland. It's going to open up the passing game. I'm waiting for Bolden, which has made some receptions, but I'm waiting for him to make a big impact on a game. You haven't really seen it.
Some touchdowns.
They haven't touchdowns.
Get in the end zone.
Him and TJ and company. So I think it'll be this week when they kind of start clicking. Obviously, their defense doesn't have any question marks, and Cleveland's not going to score many points with their offense against the Ravens' defense.
That is a lot of points, though, in a division game.
It is. But I mean, I
Baltimore
like
at home. I'll take it.
I don't want to give anything away,
I like
but on my picks, I also picked this game, and Cleveland has beaten Baltimore has beaten Cleveland by double digits or better each of the last 4 times that they've played.
Yeah.
Next,
Next one, Indy at Denver. Indy giving up 5.5. You saw what Indy did to the Giants last week. Like I said, it was going to happen. Well, I didn't say it was going to happen like it did, but it did.
you did say it was going to happen. That was one of your picks.
Yeah, I did. But I don't think anybody on the Denver defense, I don't think they can stand with the Indianapolis receivers. I just don't see it. Even though
Champ Bailey?
Okay, well, that's one. Maybe another one.
Well, on the weak side, they're going to struggle for sure. I think Austin Collie and Pierre Garcon probably have big days.
And I know the Colts aren't going to run the ball, but they ran the ball decently against the Giants. If they can do that against, against the Broncos, they're going to field day again.
They just did anything they wanted offensively against
and
the Giants.
The Denver's offense doesn't scare me, and their defense doesn't scare me. And I think Indy wins pretty easily up in Denver. And the last game I'm taking, Detroit at Minnesota. I'm taking Detroit because they're getting 13 points. Detroit's been putting up a lot of points. They put up over 30 last week against the Eagles. Minnesota hasn't looked that great to me. I know they played some. Who did they play last week? Minnesota.
They played Miami.
They played
Miami, and
lost.
the first game was who?
Against Saints.
Saints. So they played some pretty good teams the first 2 games of the year. But Detroit, I still think they can put up some points, and I'm waiting for Favre and the rest of his receivers to get on the same page because they don't look anywhere like they're on the same page at all. And Adrian Peterson has been he did great. He had over 100.
He's been good.
145 last week, but no touchdowns.
But I'm 13 points.
Oh, 1 touchdown.
13 points. I'm taking Detroit in that game on the road. I'll take that.
I like it.
Road dog.
Yeah, I also have that game pick too. I also like Detroit in that game. I think Brett Favre just looks old.
Detroit
have you ever seen Brett Favre look so old?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the seasons before the first 3 times he retired.
Yeah.
He had years like this. It could last the whole year. And I think Minnesota has to get ready for the fact that it may not be.
He's still got his arm speed.
It may not be a good season for him. He may be this bad for the whole season.
Okay, so he's missing Sidney Rice, and in his defense, he's missing Sidney Rice, and Harvin has been in and out of practice throughout the week.
Yeah, but Harvin's injury prone.
He hasn't looked that good.
But my thing is,
Harvin hasn't looked good either.
If you're the Minnesota front office, how do you not get this deal done for Vincent Jackson? How do you not do that? You're 0-2.
Are you not sold on Vincent Jackson, though?
No, but I mean, you have nobody else. Your wide receiving core is garbage.
Bernard Berrien cannot.
There is no number one. There is no number one. If you go out and you do this deal with San Diego and get Vincent Jackson and get him into the games, I think Minnesota turns it around. Not drastically turns it around, but I think they actually start winning some ball games.
Could drastically turn around.
With that defense, with Adrian Peterson, and I don't care how old Brett Favre looks, he's still Brett Favre. We all know that he can bounce back from just about anything.
One thing they have going against them, they're in the same division as the Packers. And they look really good.
And the Packers do look fantastic.
Chicago looks
good too. And Chicago looks good too.
Minnesota's run defense looks a whole lot worse than it has been for the past few years, though. And they rely on that a lot because their corners and their D-backs, Antoine Winfield is a good player, but he's more like, if the quarterback has time to throw the ball, Antoine Winfield is old, and in relation to other corners in the league, he's very slow. And their weak side is Cedric Griffin, who's also slow and undersized. Like, you could throw on Minnesota if you have time. The only reason that people haven't been able to do it so much is because they have Jaron Allen. They don't have to put tons of guys in the box because they have Kevin and Pat Williams and Jaron Allen.
Okay, just run through them real quick.
Philly -3 over the. I'm taking Philly -3 over the Jags. San Francisco -3 over Kansas City. I'm taking Baltimore. They're giving up 10.5 against Cleveland. Taking Indy, giving up 5.5 against Denver, and Detroit getting 13 on the road at Minnesota.
All right, very good. See how you do.